Hello, everyone. It is Sam from the Avalon Center. I'm excited to be bringing you the lesson of the day today, and I hope everyone is still doing okay during this quarantine and hopefully staying home and doing all the things to get us back to normal life, hopefully soon. I am actually a domestic violence and a sexual assault advocate here at the Avalon Center. And since it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month, I wanted to kind of do something in line with that and do some education around sexual assault. So, the biggest thing that sexual assault victims face is there's such a stigmatism that goes along with that, such a negative thing for victims. It's not talked about. So many victims don't ever report because it is not an easy process. Society kind of makes it a lot more difficult than it might even have to be. So there's a lot of myths that goes along with sexual assault. So what I want to do is kind of break those down to where we get some reality, we work out what is myth and what is actually true. So the first one that I want to talk about is a victim of sexual assault, if they do not fight back, they must have thought it was okay or wanted it or liked it, and that is absolutely not true. So we have all heard of the fight, flight, or freeze. That is a natural reaction that our body does when it's presented with a situation of fear, of trauma, of uncertainty. Our body reacts. If you're about to be in a car wreck, that's a really good example of you don't know how to react and your body just naturally chooses one of those three things for you. So when you are being sexually assaulted, your body, you are in a life-threatening traumatic event that you don't know how to handle. So, especially if you've never been sexually assaulted before, typically when we've never dealt with anything and had to process anything like that, freeze is absolutely more often than not the option that our body chooses because we don't know what to do. This is brand new information and we don't know how to process. So our body says freeze. The best way to survive this is to do nothing and freeze. We have had victims, I know I've heard victims say that I wanted to scream. I tried to scream. I tried to fight back and literally it felt like I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. That is your body deciding what it thinks at the moment is the best way for you to survive this event. It is certainly not consent. It is not meaning that the victim wanted it in any form or fashion. It is literally your body taking over and deciding the best way to survive this. So another very, very common one is that sexual assaults most often occur in public or outdoors. So I think a lot of that comes from TV shows and movies, and it's dramatic that you're walking to your car and in the parking garage, the boogeyman jumps out and gets you and rapes you, or you're walking somewhere or something and it's a stranger. And that is absolutely not the majority. So that can happen, that does happen, but the majority is not a stranger. It's actually someone that you know, and 55% of sexual assault victimizations occur near or at the victim's home. Over half is actually at the victim's home. And then 12% occur at the home of a friend, relative, or acquaintance. So the vast majority of those are at a home, not in a parking garage or walking down the road or something. And that means that somehow you knew that person. It wasn't a complete stranger that did not know you that just jumped out and victimized you. So a lot of victims lie about being raped or give false reports. So one thing about this is if you are sexually assaulted and you do report, it is not an easy process due to the way that society views things like this, the way that society reacts and kind of treats the victims at that point. It is not something that anyone wants to go through. It actually keeps the vast majority of victims from ever reporting because the way that victims are treated and have to go through whenever they do report those things. If whether they go through the full court process, they have to recount the details of what happened numerous times. It's something that they would like to forget themselves, and here they are having to tell law enforcement and strangers about what happened, and usually say those things more than once and keep almost reliving that because you have to recount it. It is not something that someone wants to go through, period, let alone for no reason. So the fact is, according to this, that only 2 to 8% of rapes are falsely reported. So a person cannot sexually assault their partner or spouse. That is definitely not true. As we talked about earlier, it is certainly not a stranger the vast majority of the time. Nearly 1 in 10 women have experienced rape by an intimate partner. You can be raped by your husband, by your intimate partner, whatever that looks like for you in your relationship, but they absolutely can sexually assault you and do. A lot of that goes hand in hand with our domestic violence. That happens a lot more often than anyone wants to talk about, and once it's a difficult thing and nobody wants to talk about that. But when someone has power and control over someone else, it is a very powerful thing to make them do things in a sexual manner that they don't want to, or whatever that is. So it absolutely goes hand in hand with those intimate partners relationships that's very prominent in sexual assaults. Another is rape does not happen that often. So there's an average of 293,000 victims ages 12 or older of rape and sexual assault each year in the United States. So that breaks down that one sexual assault occurs every 107 seconds. So just because we don't talk about it, and just because it's uncomfortable and it's not something that we as a general public like to hear, we would much rather pretend like those things don't happen and not believe that those things happen whenever someone does come forward, does not mean that they're not happening. And the fact is, the more that the general public behaves that way and treats victims that way, the less they're going to report and the more people are going to get away with it. So what we really need to do is change the way that we look at that as a society as a whole, and treat those victims as if they were the victim of any other crime, or maybe better, even, special circumstances for them, and certainly not accuse them of lying or not getting them help and the resources that they need. So changing that as a whole is really going to make a difference for people that are actually committing these crimes to be punished and these to go reported, is to have a support system there for them. If you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, but you know of someone that you believe that this has happened to, or they've confided in you and don't want to report to law enforcement and are scared to go through that process, that's a really perfect place for us to step in. One thing with our confidentiality is that if they don't want to report, we're not going to report. We are going to give services no matter what they choose to do, how long ago it's been, no matter what, we can provide services around that. We have sexual assault advocates that work specifically with that and know the trauma and the things to come and the things that you've already been going through. If something like that has happened to you or someone that you know, or in the future you just happen to run across someone that confides in you, or someone that you know this happens to, then I hope you give us a call and we can at least talk to them. Our confidentiality is always one of our utmost priorities. Nothing that you say or tell us will go any further than you want it to. It will never leave the office that you give it in, or the phone call that you give it in. You are free and safe to give us a call for any of those services at any time. And we want to keep getting the information out there. So you're going to see a lot about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I hope you guys keep tuning in and watching our videos and liking our page. We've sent out a ton of invites today, so I hope you invite your friends to like our page. Like, we would love that. We need to get our information out there, and we are happy that it's happening, even if it's in such crazy circumstances. But we're learning each day of how we work around things like this, and we're excited with some of the new ways that we found to meet with the public and clients and things. So you can call us. You can send us a Facebook message. We talk to a lot of clients that way. A lot of people don't want to pick up the phone and, say those things. Send us a Facebook message. We are here and available on it just like we are on the phone. So reach out to us if you need us, and thank you for watching.